This is the Hot Take Hockey Podcast with your hosts, Lucas and John Viveiros.
Good chat with Scott, Lucas. Attaboy on getting Scott on. So he's the in-game host for the Leafs. And yeah, I mean, just the enthusiasm. If you're at Scotiabank Arena, you're always seeing him. So huge shout out to Scott. We appreciate it. Lucas, man, we got it on the screen right now. Let's record for your bracket challenge, what you got. And obviously, I'll just say, like, for the both of us, maybe a pick changes right before the game start or something like that. That could happen. But at least where our mindset's at right now, I made a couple picks that got people rattled. But Lucas, you're on now. You're the star of the show. What is your bracket, man?
It's time to put it on the line, Johnny, for everybody to clown me. I mean, I'm ready to go here. We'll fire through these picks. I'm going to have some hot ones. No doubt about it. I'm going to have some controversial ones. Let's start in the East, all right? So we got Boston, Florida. We'll work top to bottom. Listen, I think Florida, they've gotten on this hot streak to get in. Alex Lyon, he's been really good. I don't see them getting very far against Boston. I just think Boston is the beast of the league this year, and they're going to take care of them decently easy. I have Bruins, and I have them in 5 games. Okay.
Right.
We're moving down to Leafs Lightning. You've all heard it. This is no surprise. I'm picking Toronto. I'm picking them in 6 games. I think that the Leafs are probably going to take care of business and go up 2-0 at home, but the Lightning are going to respond and get a couple wins of their own somewhere along the line. So I have Leafs in 6 games. Moving on to the Hurricanes and Islanders. These guys right here, man. These 2 teams, I think it's so thin. The margin is so thin. I think obviously Carolina's had a very good year. They're in first. But these injuries have really cost them in terms of them being a really big favorite in my eyes. And I think the Islanders got the goaltending. They got the goaltending advantage with Sorokin. They're a tough team to play against. Having said all that, I still like Rod Brind'Amour. I still like the Hurricanes to win this series, but I think it's going to be in 7 games, man. I think this one's going the distance. All right.
Yeah, I like it so far. I mean, I'll say this. I'm confident on who you're about to pick. So go ahead.
You're confident on who I'm picking here?
Yeah, I'll be shocked if it's the other way.
All right. So for this one here, we got Rangers Devils. This one is, this might be the matchup of the first round. I think a lot of hockey fans are stoked about this one. New York's going to be buzzing during this one. Both teams made significant adds at the deadline. Both teams have got stronger. The Devils, I had just missing the playoffs. I'll quote myself on that one. I remember I had them just missing. I knew they were going to be good this year. I didn't think this good. And I'm a huge Jack Hughes guy. We all know it.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to put my balls on the line and say it's Devils in 7.
Oh, Calgary shocked.
It's Devils in 7. Here, I'll fill in my picks right here. With
Bro, I knew you were going Devils.
It's Devils in 7. All right. I think Shesterkin's going to be a little bit, hot hit and miss in this first round. He's going to let in some squeakers. I think New Jersey's speed is crazy. And I don't know if the Rangers are going to be able to handle it, man. I think the Devils have played the Rangers really hard this year, too. Come on, man. This might be the Devils' year, bro.
Well, honestly, how I went about it, and the only one that I was back and forth on was the Toronto-Tampa one. I actually just picked the best goalies in the first round on the east side. So I thought Shesterkin's ceiling was higher, so I went Rangers. I think I actually went Rangers in 6. I went Islanders in 7. Steal that with Sorokin. And I went Bruins in 5 as well. But yeah, man, I think to me,
sorry, you went Leafs or Lightning in yours, by the way?
So I went Leafs, but I actually made a follow-up video just to basically say that I was like, it makes me want to spite some people just to put Tampa forward because of the things that are being said, not because of like the motivation or like just thinking the Leafs are going to win. It's some of these comments saying like Tampa's not Tampa anymore. Vasilevsky's washed, like all these garbage comments. And I'm like, you guys truly do not learn. Like, Lucas, that's where I'm at right now. I'm picking the Leafs in terms of what I see in front of my face. But yeah, obviously in terms of history, what history has told us recently, for people just to dismiss Tampa is actually pissing me off. It's pissing me off, man.
Yeah, well, as Elliot Friedman says, only a fool bets against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Only a fool would actually actively bet against them. Just for the viewers all out there, I haven't seen Johnny's bracket. I purposely avoided it so that way I could come on here, throw my bracket at him, and we could see where we agree and disagree. So it looks like, Johnny, you got 2 different picks than me because you got Isles and you got Rangers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's already a 50% difference on the east side. Listen, the Islanders and Hurricanes one is the toughest one for me. In terms of, I really did want to pick the Islanders with Sorokin. It's just this year's been really weird for them in terms of they've never really been on a full groove. I've never felt super confident about them. I thought they'd be a little bit better than wild card one, to be honest. And maybe that was just with the emergence of the Devils that really pushed them down. But listen, I like Rod Brind'Amour's coaching. I don't think he's going down without a fight. So I got Canes in 7 on that one. So we'll go to the West side. And this Seattle Avalanche matchup. Listen, Seattle, happy you guys showed up. I don't think, you're going to go down. You're not going to go down without a fight. But as far as last year's cup winner, I can't pick against them against you guys. I just cannot do it. So I got Avalanche. What's so funny, Johnny?
Avs in what?
I got Avs in 6 games. Okay. I think Seattle's going to win too. But that's even giving them a lot of credit. I think I don't really buy, and you know what? I don't buy Colorado's goaltending that much either, but Seattle's goaltending does make me a little bit concerned in terms of who are they going with? Is it Grubauer? Is it Jones?
Well, I got a fun fact for you.
Yeah. Spit it at me.
So this is the one I told you, man. And maybe this is bait. Maybe you'll take this as bait, but I actually picked Kraken in 7.
Wow.
I have it right now here. Okay. You know what? This is one of those, it's not even, I don't even want to say it's gut pick. It's based on a little bit of research, a little bit of gut pick. I think I'm stupid for it. I do think Colorado, if they win the first round, I could see them back in the cup final, to be honest. Because I think the only thing, it goes back to what you just said. If Georgiev gets hot, I think Colorado goes all the way. My thing is with the Kraken, and I think I've talked to you about this. I always go to former players scoring big goals or like former goalies goalieing a team. Once upon a time, Grubauer was an Av. Yep. And the last 2 games that Grubauer has played against the Avs, again, I know it's the regular season, but the last 2 games that Grubauer has played against the Avs, he's averaging like .925 save percentage. And in both those games, I think the Avs didn't score more than like 2 goals.
Wow.
So and again, maybe that's me reaching, but you got to throw the hot takes in there, man. I feel like you got to throw the hot takes.
You got to. It's hot take hockey. Come on, we got to have the hot takes on here.
But I got ripped pretty badly.
Listen, the Avs, similar to Carolina in a way, these are 2 really good teams that could be favorites, but they've just been decimated by injuries. And the Landeskog news sucks. It really does. It doesn't seem like it's Colorado's year again to do it, but I'm not picking against them against the Kraken. I'm not kicking them out there. I have them beating the Kraken. I'm calling it in 6 games. Dallas and Minnesota, the series of green. All right. So this one right here is a tough one. This is another jump ball for me. I think both these teams are extremely even in a lot of departments. The goaltending edge I'm going to put towards Dallas. I think Ottinger has that higher ceiling. We saw it in the playoffs last year. And, both these teams, I wouldn't be surprised if either of them won the series. Having said that, I got to pick someone. And a lot of people know that I have a bit of a wild agenda. Like slightly. I have Dallas winning this series. Okay.
Shocker.
I do. And it's not because of that. I really do believe this new rejuvenation of talent surrounding Seguin and Ben is getting the best out of them now because they've been pushed down. And I like how the team all looks and how it's come together this year. I think this seems like one of those years for Dallas where I didn't have them, being here, to be honest with you, because I had the Blues in the playoffs. Yeah. And to have them here now, I think they're going to take advantage of it and win at least a round. So I got them beating the Wilds in 7 games.
Yeah, I had the same pick. I was just going to say, I'll own it too. I had Dallas into the playoffs to start the year. I think it was just more so watching how reliant they were on Ottinger in the first round and just like the lack of just control in their game. But I feel like, Jason Robertson's a huge part of why I'm a dummy because he's been a lot more than I expected. I'll just put it that way. Yeah. The Stars, if Ottinger can be even, I said this on my video, if Ottinger could be even 80% of what he was in that Calgary series, Lucas, I think the Stars have a really good chance here. Yeah, me too, man. I think Minnesota's deep as well. Like, throughout the lineup, they've got a lot of tough guys. Who do the Wild go with goalie though, right? I mean, Philip Gustafson's been hot. And I even went back on the last couple of games they played against the Stars and Philip Gustafson played and put up good numbers, but you can't just dismiss the possibility of putting the cup winner in Fleury, right? I think Fleury is kind of the ace in the hole
in your back pocket. But I would think they're going to start with Gustafsson, right? He's been so good.
Yeah.
He's been so good. And it's crazy to think in a year we went from Fleury and Talbot. Talbot wants to leave because Fleury's there and he's going to be the starter. And now we're talking like Gustafsson's the starter there, and he's earned it, man. I mean, so they got good goaltending too, but I'm going to go with Dallas in 7 games. And I wouldn't be surprised if it went the other way. But we'll see how that series of green plays out. I think it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a real good one. Vegas and the Jets. So this is the last dance of whatever dance the Jets have really accomplished over the last little bit. I think this team's going to look very, very different after this season. And they really got to put it all on the line to try to advance in some regard in these playoffs. With that being said, I don't see it over Vegas. I really don't. I know it's not a hot take, but I really do like Vegas. I had them near the top of the Pacific Division and in my preseason predictions, and I like them a lot. I think their goaltending is a bit of a question mark still, but I think overall, and with the way the Jets have just been, on and off and not consistent, and I just don't buy the mix of players that they have. And I think they're one of those teams they're very vulnerable to. If they're down a couple games in a series, they might roll over, man. So with that being said, I have Vegas, and I'm going to say on this one, this is a little bit impromptu, but I'm going to say in 6 games because I think Hellebuyck is that good. He's going to get them a game or two. It's the goaltender effect in the playoffs. When you got a goalie like that, he's got to get you a game or two.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had the hot take for that exact reason. Again, my trend on my bracket was goalies, and that's why I took the Jets upsetting this one. But my thing is with Vegas, and similar to a couple other series in the East, if Vegas goes up 2-0, it's going to be exactly what we saw last year with Nashville against Colorado. Like freaking, like Ingram was insane. Even was it the game 2, whatever it was, like the 40-something save performance.
Yep.
And it's like a goalie can only take you so far. So
yeah.
I think at the point of if Vegas goes up 2-0, don't be shocked if there's a sweep here. And that's why I think there's literally no room for error. And I'm on the same vibe as Carolina against the Islanders. If Sorokin can steal the win in Carolina and the Islanders can get something done at home, and then obviously looking at Winnipeg, the same thing. But those 2 series I look at is like, if those teams get the wins at home and go up 2-0, I think these could be short series, Lucas. And that's why I'm just hoping as a fan we get a few game 7s. Not in the Toronto Tampa series though.
Well, you know what? This series is very fascinating too, Vegas and Winnipeg, because I think that both these barns are electric.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't see how Winnipeg could be swept with the way the whiteout's going to be there.
But if they're down 2-0, man.
Yeah, they're a vulnerable team, man. It could happen. But yeah, I'm going to take Vegas in 6 games. I'm going to take Vegas in 6 games on that one. And we have finally arrived at the series that I'm so excited to watch. And it goes deeper than Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl to me. I am a big Kings guy. I think I love the team they've assembled. I'm so happy they finally have a goaltender they can, rely on in Jonas Korpisalo. I love the Ada Fiala this year.
Add the Jeopardy music in here.
And you know where this is going. You know where this is trending.
Listen, no way.
I think McDavid's going to have the series that people think he's going to have. I think he's going to be amazing. I think Draisaitl's going to pot a ton of goals. But overall, when it comes down to it, I don't buy Stuart Skinner. I don't buy Jack
He's doing
Campbell.
it, folks. He's doing it.
And this whole year of the Oilers, this is their year. This is the year the Oilers are going to go to the final. This is the year McDavid's going to lift Lord Stanley. Yeah, I could be quoted in a few months and looking like a dummy. But in my bracket, I'm taking the LA Kings in 7 games over Connor McDavid.
This could be such a bad clip, man. This could be such a bad clip.
And I wouldn't be surprised. I will not be surprised if Edmonton beats them. But overall, I love LA, man. And I got to stick with it. I'm feeling great about LA this year. And you know what? It's LA in 7 for me.
What's the series that you kind of went back and forth on? Because I know you mentioned there was a series that you kind of changed up.
It's this one. It's this one because how foolish can you be to doubt Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl? They should win this series. Edmonton should win this series. But I'm just so I've watched so many Kings games this year, man. And they just seem like a team that playing them 7 games is going to be hell. And they went to 7 games last year.
Oh,
Against
100%.
and they're better. Both teams are better. I think both teams
Yeah.
are better than they were last
100%.
year.
100%.
This is that one. And obviously Carolina and the Islanders. I still, every freaking 5 minutes, I'm going back and forth on, is it Carolina or the Islanders? I don't know where I'm going to land when I'm submitting my bracket on the last day. But for right now, I'm going to stick with Carolina because I like Rod Brindamore. I think they're going to get it done.
Yeah, I was also going to say, just on the Korpisalo and Kings point, I have a lot of Oilers, like friends, that have like either watched the Leafs a lot or like a couple that are from Toronto, a couple I went to university with. And like the trend I'm always getting here now is that since the Kings have gotten Korpisalo and they've seen how he's done as well, like once upon a time, Korpisalo goalied the Leafs, and a lot of these Oilers fans were able to see that. And I think Oilers fans are more nervous. I mean, Quick had that cup pedigree, but I think Lucas, it's a bit different when you have a guy in his prime playing like this, and Korpisalo has that weird X factor to him. If he gets hot in this series and the Oilers get bad goaltending, like that's where I'm saying, I don't think anyone can look at the Oilers goaltending. And obviously Stuart Skinner, I talked to Jeff, who's an Oilers fan. He made a good point. It's like, we've seen rookie goalies do well in the playoffs recently, whether it's Matt Murray, Jordan Bennington, guys like that. So hope for the Oilers' sake, hopefully that's Stuart Skinner. But if it's not, the goalie matchup could go the Kings' way.
There's a world where Stuart Skinner in Game 3 isn't in the pipes. Like they push the button and go to Jack Campbell, and that's a lot of pressure for him on the contract he's on, the season he's had. But there's no doubt, and with my pick with LA over Edmonton, for LA to win this series, they got to score goals because Edmonton's going to score. Even if Korpisalo plays well and goalies them a little bit, Edmonton's going to get their goals through McDavid, Draisaitl.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's only going to goalie them so far. Because
and LA, the key to the series for LA on this one, they got to be careful with taking penalties, man. That Oilers power play, we've all read all about it. It's one of the best power plays. It might be the best power play we've ever seen, right? So LA, if they find themselves in penalty trouble, I might be looking like a dummy. But I'm thinking LA is going to be able to pull this one off, man. I really am.
Maybe that, you know what, Lucas? Maybe LA went big brain. Maybe that's why they traded Brendan Lemieux away, because they knew this guy was going to rack up the penalty minutes. They're like, we can't have this guy here. He's just going to give McDavid too many power play opportunities. Maybe that was the thinking there. But yeah, Lucas, man, you know what? I can't crap too much. Like, I picked the Kraken as a maybe a bait upset. I don't know what to call it. To me, there's going to be an upset. And I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe for some reason I had the balls to pick against the reigning cup champ, but I just didn't have the balls to bet against Boston this year. But you know what? Tampa had a record-breaking year and they got swept to Columbus. So anything can happen, really. Yeah.
And that's, I'll give Florida the one game on that one. But when you really look at a lot of these series, John, like especially on the East side, when I'm looking at the East side, really the only one that's really, really uber confident for me that I'm confident in is Boston, Florida. The other three, it can go either way. There's just such a narrow, gap.
So what do we do if Florida somehow upsets Boston? Like, what does everyone do that's like,
that's Boston crazy.
I don't know what to. It's going to ruin so many brackets.
It'll like ruin all the brackets, man.
Yeah, almost all of them.
Probably so many brackets have Boston, going all the way, and they're the favorite. I mean, people got to give them the credit, but I don't. And so we'll get there right now.
Okay, so rip through it, and then we'll give a little summary.
Yeah, round 2, we'll rip through it. So I got Leafs Bruins in my round 2. We'll probably do a reset, like once we get to round 2 in real life here. John and I will come on and we'll preview up the round 2 matchups. But for the sake of this exercise, we're going through the bracket. Leafs Bruins, like we talked about with Scotty, man. If the Leafs win this first round, they're gonna be rolling. And I have the Leafs over Boston. I really do.
We're gonna get Seward.
I really do. I have Leafs beating Boston. It might go down right to that game 7. It might be in TD Garden. But man, the Leafs are gonna get it done this year, bro. This is their year, man. This is their year,
bro. That quote, man. I've heard it the last 4 years.
But the team they have is different this year, man. They have that mojo. They have the ads we've walked through it a million times. All the guys they've brought in. There's championship pedigree. Dude, I'm feeling really good about it. And the Leafs have played Boston very well this year. Even in the game, the most recent game they lost in overtime, what a game that was, man. Like, if the Leafs play Boston, if the Leafs end up playing Boston in the second round, it's going to be a series. It's going to be a war. It's going to be a series for the ages.
Yeah, it'll be an all-timer. I was just
Yeah.
gonna say though, it's just the Boston has a way of winning this year. Like you said that, like the Leafs played them well, and I agree, but they're still L's on the board, right? So it's just, man, I've watched this Leafs team over and over again. It's like what we even said with Scott is they show it and they're right there, but they're always like coming up
Just
even.
short.
Yeah, well, man, I go back to Game 6 last year. Is like that feeling I had, and I actually got so mad at myself that night because it was like, how stupid am I? When Tavares scored the tying goal and then went ahead and they literally had 20 miles. They had 20 minutes to go, and obviously the stupid 5-on-3. But my point is like that right there, like Tampa's bench, you saw them; they were dead in the water. Lucas, I stand by this and saying that if that 5-on-3 doesn't happen, the Leafs were winning in Game 6 last year. I hate making excuses and saying shit like that, but Tampa looked dead in the water. The only thing that was going to beat Toronto there was someone stupid like that in a 5-on-3 power play.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, and with my pick, a lot of the justification for why I'm making this pick, the Bruins have had the goaltenders, both goaltenders play well all year. Ullmark is probably going to win the Vezina. I don't buy Linus Ullmark stock. I don't think that he doesn't have the playoff. He doesn't have the playoff pedigree, man. Like I think he's going to be
Samsonov doesn't.
He doesn't either. You're right. But with the way Ullmark has played this year, the level he's played at, I don't believe that's going to hold. That's going to hold serve in playoffs. I just don't. Everybody's numbers go to 0, and he's going to be just another good goalie in an Eastern Conference. I don't think he's this world beater that his statistics show. So I have the Leafs winning that series. I might look like a dummy, but I have the Leafs winning that series, going to the conference finals.
Man, at this point, I just hope they pass the first rounder. I mean, we can get quickly to my video, but I'll be a nightmare. But go ahead.
We got to keep going. So, Hurricanes, Devils, much like the Leafs, things are bouncing right now for New Jersey, man. They're bouncing, and that's why I'm picking the Devils over a wounded Carolina Hurricanes squad. I have a Leafs Devils conference final.
Wow,
and I think this is the year that Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt. Now Timo Meier in there. This is the year, man, for them to really go on a run and, really challenge, where this team stood coming into the year. I don't think most people had them in the playoffs. And if you did, you might have thought they were going to be bounced pretty quick. But if they beat the Rangers, much like if the Leafs beat the Lightning, they're going to be rocking and rolling going into play Carolina. And I think the lack of experience the Devils have in the playoffs with their big stars, sometimes we talk about on the show, is a good thing because it can be a good thing because they don't have those same scars that other teams, young guys have. So yeah, I have New Jersey winning this series. I think Carolina, if they get through the Islanders, like I have here right now, it's going to be by the skin, by the little hairs on their chin. And this one, I think New Jersey is just going to mop the floor on them. If I had to pick games, I think the Devils, this isn't going 7, 5 or 6 games for the Devils over Carolina.
Wow.
Yeah.
This Freddie Anderson agenda is alive and well. No, I mean, you had Carolina going to the next round. I'll just quickly say I'm with you. I've seen how certain matchups drive momentum, and I'm with you. This is no shot against Carolina or the Islanders, but I think if the Devils and Rangers lives up to the hype and ends up being like a 6 or 7 series, I think whoever comes out of it is just going to ride a crazy momentum wave.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think whoever comes out of the Devils and Rangers is probably going to the conference finals. I feel pretty confident about that.
Yeah. Like that's where I'm at. So
yeah. So
I had Rangers in that Devils spot, and I had Bruins in the Leafs spot.
All right. So you had original 6.
Yeah, at original 6, Bruins Rangers conference final. All right, let's get your West.
Let's go to the West. I think Dallas is going to make this extremely difficult on Colorado, but I'm not going to knock the heart of a champion, and I think Colorado is going to get to that conference final. Just the speed the Avalanche have, the advantage they have at home ice when visitors come in there and it's a rockin' barn, the elevation. I really like Colorado still. Nate McKinnon being one of the best players in the world. I think he's going to have a great playoffs, and I think they're going to get back to the Final Four.
Hey, well, I mean, bro, I don't think anyone's going to criticize you for that. I'm just laughing because I think about it. And it's like, my take is so like high risk, like not even that much of a reward, but yeah, like I feel like the Avs kind of similar to what we've talked about, just that winning mindset. And even Tampa, when they've looked banged up, I mean, they went for a cup without Stammer. So the Avs without Landeskog, could do a similar thing. I don't know if they'd win the cup, but I think they can at least win a couple rounds for sure.
And I don't think that they have much room for error when it comes to injuries, like any further injuries. If McCarr's knocked out of a full round or something, or McKinnon is, obviously this pick would look a little bit different from my perspective, and I think Dallas would win. But I think with the way the Avs are currently constructed, I have them beating Dallas. Yeah, I really do. I think, man, they're a great team. Even without Landeskog, I don't want to write them off. So I have them going to the Final Four. And then this guy over here, Vegas, LA. Come on, we got to keep the same energy. The LA Kings are going to the Final Four.
Wow.
The LA Kings, after beating Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, they're also going to beat the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Kings are going to send the Knights packing. LA Kings, this might be their year. There's a lot of teams on the board here. Yeah, so you have Colorado, last year's champion, and you have three teams who lots of things are going right for these three teams, and I think this is the way it shakes out in the Final Four.
Wow. All right. Cup final and cup pick.
My cup final,
Okay,
ladies and gentlemen.
I know exactly where this is going.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's the Los Angeles Kings. These two teams, bro, it's going to be awesome to see it. I'm so stoked to see it. Korpisalo is going to get another chance to goalie the Leafs. But the Leafs, they're not going to let that happen this time. All right.
Oh my God.
Champion of 2023.
Oh, you actually did it.
Is the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, I'm going to get
shootout that I'm a Leaf fan, this and that. Man, this team is the best Leafs team I've seen in my life. There's no doubt about it. And that might not be saying a lot. All right. I'm a late 90s kid, but man, how deep the Leafs are, realistically, when I look at the matchups they got to go through here on my bracket, once they get over the Bruins, these other two teams just aren't as strong. And the Leafs might be pretty wounded after beating the Bruins in the second round. But New Jersey, I think they take care of them in 6 games. LA is going to be a bloodbath with Colorado. I think they're going to win in 7 games over there. And the Leafs, they're going to lift Lord Stanley in Los Angeles in game 6.
With Bieber in the building. Is that what you're saying?
With Bieber in the building. The Leafs are going to win in LA and lift Lord Stanley and then the drought. Which is why my bracket is called AM34 2023 Conn Smythe.
Okay, so the only thing I'll say on that is 3 things. 1, I think the winner of that series in the Cup final gets Austin Matthews for his new contract. That's 1. 2, I'll say I'm not feeling hot on that, on how you transition from the conference final. So I'll say this, Lucas, I actually think your bracket is somewhat realistic, maybe even more realistic than mine. But what I'll say is I think it's 10 times more realistic, and I can buy into your bracket if you switch both your conference final winners. So if you put Devils, Avalanche in the Cup final, and I'm not saying, hey, you stand by your shit, but honestly, guys, people watching right now, I think that's a good show, and that was a Cup final once upon a time ago. So I could see Devils Avs as a Cup final, to be honest.
Man, that just screams nostalgia with like Brodeur and Waugh.
Yeah.
That would be cool. That would be a cool one. But I think this is the one to Destiny. Destiny's happening this year. That was the conference final when obviously Gretzky high-sticked Dougie Gilmour in 93. And the Leafs lost that round. They were supposed to go to the final that
against
year.
Montreal.
Against Montreal.
Oh yeah. So I wasn't even registering that you said that. But I was gonna say it comes full circle and Toronto wins the game they're supposed to against LA 30 years later.
Correct. That's sort of the history I'm looking at. And dude, I don't always pick the Leafs in the brackets. It's not about that. Okay. It's just this year, the way things are bouncing, man. I feel so good about it. Okay. And LA is a very similar to your Seattle pick. LA is a very hit and miss pick. There's a lot of risk there for me because if Edmonton knocks them out, this is stupid. I mean, they're look at how far I have LA going. I have LA in the finals, but if LA is to beat Edmonton, I don't see why not. They can't beat Vegas and Colorado.
So I will say I can't speak on the Colorado one because I don't know what the season record is, but between LA and Vegas, talking to a few Vegas fans, they do not want to play LA in the second round. I don't know what it is. I mean, man, I don't think anyone wanted to play. Like I've talked to Oilers fans, even Jeff talked about it, saying that when he had the option of like playing Jets, Kraken, or Kings. Like he said, he just didn't want to touch the Kings. He didn't want to touch the Kings at all in the first round. I'm trying to look at the season series between the Golden Knights and Kings. So like, because I'm even looking at April 6th, they just played, the Golden Knights won.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the vibe I've gotten from some Knights fans. So yeah, I don't know, man. I think I actually don't mind your bracket. The cup final, I think, is a reach. I think you're gonna get ripped a little bit in the comments. But no, I'm with you. I think people that just pick brackets that a little bit of spice or a little bit of like just upsets. Yeah, back to January 7th, the Kings smacked the Golden Knights 5-1, and December 27th, the Kings beat the Golden Knights 4-2. But that was back a few months ago. The recent one has the Golden Knights winning. So yeah, here's the thing. Last thing, and then we'll go into a different direction. Season series also just doesn't matter, folks. Remember that. I always reference back. I think I've told you this, Lucas. When Rangers fans ripped me to shreds for picking Hurricanes in 5 in the bubble, and then the Hurricanes swept them in 3. And Rangers fans were just getting at me in the comments saying, "We swept the season series. We swept the season series." Bro, as Ryan O'Reilly just said in the recent interview, all that matters is playoffs and winning in the playoffs. Basically, is
everyone's stats are reset at 0.
Everyone's stats just doesn't matter. Again, that's not his exact quote, but he was basically implying that it just doesn't. It's a complete reset. It's a completely different season in a way. Season series just doesn't matter. You got to the playoffs. The 8th seed LA Kings won the Stanley Cup. Anything can happen, folks. Anything can freaking happen. Yeah,
and I think that when I was making this bracket, a lot of me was thinking, I'm going to look like a Leafer. I'm going to look like a homer for the Leafers. So who am I going to pick? Where do the Leafs get bounced? Right, was kind of my mindset. Where do they get bounced? And I truthfully this is me from my heart thinking this is the year, man. Like it's not me just picking the Leafs. I really think they're that strong of a team and they're going to go all the way, man.
I mean, I'll say this. I think if the Leafs pass the Bruins, they're going to the cup final. I just don't know if they're winning. It depends who they play. But I think if the Leafs beat the Bruins, they're going to the cup final.
And I can't wait to watch LA take down Connor McJesus.
Hey, we'll see, man. Honestly, it's bold. I like it. It's bold. I probably would say there's probably more stock in your pick there because my pick is over the cup champs. And I think the Kings are a little bit more equipped. But you know what? Anything can happen. So to people watching, I mean, Lucas, do we want to add anything else or or I feel like this was a pretty solid pod talking to Scott and getting your bracket and picks. I feel like
I think so too.
In a pretty good way.
Johnny, quickly, you fire your cup final at me. Who did you have? Because I stayed away from all your stuff, so I didn't see.
So I had Bruins over Oilers in 7 as an all-timer series. Kind of what we talked about with the animation.
Yeah, that's what we had with him. Yeah, that would be a cracker too. I mean, McDavid versus Goliath in the Bruins, right?
Yeah.
That's definitely a possible one. I mean, that even sounds more possible than mine, really. When it comes to LA,
I mean, I think there's a good chance that Edmonton, like you kind of just said, that if they get past that first round, I think McDavid and Draisaitl will just get the heat going and they'll go far. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough with the brackets. Like you're never gonna win people. That's why when I picked the Kraken, I was like, I'm gonna get ripped, but it's like an upset's gonna be somewhere. It's gonna be somewhere, and like no one ever gets the bracket perfectly. Like the people that are making the joke brackets are gonna get it, but they're just like, and yeah, I mean,
yeah,
you never know. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. But that's a great transition to end it because playoffs are starting now. They start tomorrow. Obviously we're recording Sunday night.
Yeah.
Really stoked to get this underway, John. Watch all these series, and obviously we'll hop on next week and chat more about what's happened by that point, as we'll be in, I guess, game 4s in some scenarios by then.
Yep. So we'll be deep diving into it. And thank you, Lucas, for getting Scott on. And yeah, guys, make sure you check out the Hot Take Hockey podcast on Spotify and Apple. Hit that subscribe, notification bell. Hit up both of us in the description on Twitter, social media, and we'll see you on the next podcast. It's playoffs, baby. We're here. Let's go.
Let's go.
Peace out.